Good evening, everyone. Michael Devine here for another quarantine edition of Gray Matters Radio. I'm your host, America's Counselor, Michael Devine. Why America's Counselor? Well, we all need some therapy right now. Let's be honest, folks. Your therapist included. So let's just dive in here, I don't need to tell you guys it's a little crazy out there, right? And so, naturally, if we're going to tackle some crazy shit, I need a bunch of crazy motherfuckers with me to tackle these issues. I got my man, my co-host, the Armchair Quarterback, host of the Armchair Quarterback podcast on the 614 Radio Network. My man, how you doing, Bill?
Hey, Mike, how you doing, man? How you hanging in there?
I'm doing all right. Man.
Good.
We are under quarantine, and
what number of day is this? I lost track, quite honestly.
For me, it's like well over 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because, it was over 3 weeks ago because I kind of saw some of these things happening, and I knew clients were going to be coming back from spring break. And so I kind of shut things down like the middle before the week where DeWine really started shutting things down. So it's been about 3.5 weeks for me, man. So, I'm gonna just go ahead and introduce our frequently recurring guest co-host. We have Big B from the Cave Crew show. Big B, how you doing, brother?
What's up? I'm live here from Pandemic Central here in New York City.
You know what? This is one of those crazy things where, if you pay attention to the show, we've been obviously covering this extensively, and we've been trying to cover different angles to it. And one of the things that I wanted to kind of set up on a little bit of a series here is getting people to talk about how the pandemic, how the quarantine, how everything's affecting them. And not only that, but different parts of the country are being affected completely differently. There's a little thing in social psychology, really more just regular psychology. It's called the fundamental attributional error. And all that is that we make a fundamental error and automatically attributing how we think and feel, and that's how other people are thinking and feeling. And I see a lot on Facebook, social media, where people are going, well, this is how it is for us, and then making this assumption about this is how it is everywhere else. And the reality is this is a very diverse country. Depending on where you're at, things are going to be radically different. And I think to get a biopsy of really what is going on in this country, we have to talk with different people, their experiences, and what it's like for them to really get a bigger picture of a problem. That's what this whole show is about. Usually it's a political or a social issue. This is much more pressing than that. And so I automatically thought of, we wanted to get Big B on here just to kind of talk about, B, you're in Queens, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. So I think first I just want to kind of check in, just, maybe it's the therapist in me and being a friend, and just, I want to know how are you doing, man? Because I know it's rough there, and you said off the air that no, dude, it's as bad as it's showing on the news, if not worse. So how are you doing right now? How's your family doing?
Well, we're hunkered down. We're we're in lockdown. The kids are out of school doing the distance learning, they're calling it. It's just doing Zoom classes for their teachers. My wife is here. This is my studio. This is my music studio, my radio studio, and my office, because I work from home normally. But now I have my wife down here and my son doing schoolwork, and she's working from home. So it's a bit, it's weird. It's good having everybody home because I know everybody's safe, and none of us are going outside. I in the past, going on 2 weeks now, I've been out twice. And my wife has been out once maybe, and my son's loving it, my older son, because he gets to go play video games all day. He does his online schooling and then goes plays video games, so to him it's no big deal. But it's rough because I look at it as that, I guess it's the male instinct almost, that you got to protect your family. So I gotta make sure everybody's okay. I know we're not going outside, but I got to make sure I'm looking online, trying to get masks, trying to get gloves and hand sanitizer, make sure we have everything. I just went nuts, ordering for Costco stuff just to make sure we have stuff, that we don't have to go outside. So, I bought bulk plates and cups, and I got, this huge order of meat and stuff, so we don't have to go to the store. It's weird. It's a very weird time. And, you don't know how to act because this has never happened before. Yeah. So you're just kind of going on, I think this is the right thing to do.
Yeah. And I think even acknowledging that, I've had so many conversations with clients over the last couple of weeks, and, they'll ask me a couple questions, and, I think anyone that knows me, I don't like lie and act like I know something when I don't. And a lot of them, I was like, listen, like there wasn't a section in the DSM or a class that we took on, hey, what are the psychological factors, how to survive, mentally a pandemic or a quarantine.
Right.
There isn't. We're all learning.
It wasn't really in the cards. I mean,
right.
Nobody. I mean, yeah.
I'm sure there's some kind of, contingency plan, I'm sure. But like realistically, you're thinking war, you're thinking natural disaster like an earthquake or a snowstorm or a hurricane or something like that, or a bioterrorist action, but not, something like that. And it's weird because this pandemic, it's very serious, but it's almost like a slow burn where it's not like in all the movies, all the pandemic almost just kind of happens overnight or very, very rapidly. And all these people get sick and or die within like days or weeks. And it's just, and here it's creeping up. You know what I mean? Like it's that's for me, that's what's really kind of weird and messed up about it is I've been so like programmed through all movies and books and everything you read that it's usually like that or very quick. And it is, but it isn't, I don't know. That's just, so like Big B would say, I don't know how to react a little bit. Like you always think what would happen in the worst case scenario, just kind of like you said, kind of being a guy, being a human. It's just kind of your instinct to kind of think of that sometimes. But with something like this, it's like, I don't know. Like it's very slow moving, but yet it's not. Like it's weird. It's hard to explain. I don't know. It's very unique. That's for sure.
I was even planning on asking you guys this, but you kind of were in a way. I'm like, what's interesting is that like, my wife is a necessary, being a nurse. Bill's wife is a nurse. B, you're saying your wife is also a necessary, what do they call it? The approved necessary.
An essential workers.
And
she works in. No, I was going to say she works in finance, so that's part of the things to keep the economy going. She works directly in finance with the stock market, so she's an essential employee. She's working from home, but in her office, they're doing the 2 week stagger because that's the quarantine time.
Yeah.
So she's due to go back on Monday.
Wow.
She's been home for, this is the second week. So she's due to go back on Monday. And I'm kind of telling her like, you might want to rethink that a little bit, and, talk to the people in the office, but, we'll see where it goes.
But how is it as guys? And this is a question for both of you guys, because there's this giant role reversal where a lot of girls are the ones that are the nurses. I'm seeing a lot of it where it's us guys, the ones that we take pride in, like, hey, I want to support my family. Like I would literally if I could be a nurse, I would be out there for her. But what is that like for you guys, just having that strong male identity of protect my family, but yet our wives are the ones going out and hitting the danger of this? Like, what is that like for you? Have you adjusted to that?
Oh, that's not a big deal to me. I don't have that kind of ego where, like I said before, it's the male instinct to protect the family, but I don't have the ego where, it's, I'm the big, guy in the house and, you can't, no, it's, we're equal. She earns money, I earn money. We're in the family together. So it's not like, where I feel, oh, I'm less of a man. No, I'm not less of a man because she goes out and does these things. That's her job. That's the nature of her job. My job isn't that. If my job was that, I would be going too. It's just where the cards fell as far as our careers go.
Yeah.
So it doesn't bother me.
Yeah. Bill, what about you, man?
About what Big B said, I made the decision to become a stay-at-home dad about 8 or 9 months ago. So that kind of, in a weird way, kind of almost prepared me to a quote-unquote gender role reversal, if that even makes sense, where, I've been staying home with our 2 boys here for a while. So, and my wife works at the hospital. So, and we've talked about this in the past, her and I have, long before this pandemic came down, about what would happen if something went down in this country or in this area rather, and where she had to go in and face, possible danger from a disease or from, again, it was more along the lines of what if it was like a terrorist attack or something like that. But, for me, it hasn't been that difficult. I mean, it's a little uncomfortable to see my wife still have to go out there because she is an essential worker, go out there and still go to work every day and work longer hours and things like that, because, she's a tough, badass woman. That's one of the things I love about her.
I don't want to be. I'm not going to on her bad side.
Yeah, she's about 115 pounds of fury. No,
she's a New Yorker.
No,
I mean, what do you expect?
Yeah, that's what I mean. She's tough. She's tough. She's smart. She's beautiful. I love her. She, can handle anything. But this is one of those things where all those things will not prepare her or will not keep her safe, and won't keep you safe, and won't keep me safe, because she's on the front lines, just like your wife. It's just like, just like Big B's wife, the front line. And what I mean by that is in public every day, seeing people face to face, having to be within 6 feet, even if you don't want to. It's inevitable where, it's just, again, it's hard to imagine, or hard to explain, I should say, on what you feel, because one minute I'm like, everything is going to be fine and I'm comfortable. And the next minute I'm like, oh Lord, this is gonna end badly. Like I don't know. Like it's uncharted water for sure. We're the sea captain that is heading towards potentially the end of the earth, and we don't know if the earth is round or if it's flat. That's how I feel. I don't know. So
well, and that's like, and it kind of brings me like probably one of the first big questions I wanted to get your thoughts on, B, because I remember, we did a show in late January when it was really ramping up in Wuhan, and just watching this unfold and going, wow, if this comes over here, like this is going to be bad. And just, it's one thing seeing it on TV, seeing it starting to come over here. Now, once again, in Columbus where we're at, our cases are much kind of a slow kind of spread. Our governor really jumped on it really early. So we're kind of hoping even our peak is going to be kind of a flat kind of peak, and it's not going to be too bad. I mean, they're preparing for it, but we haven't obviously seen what you guys are seeing in New York. And so, like, what is it like seeing it unfold internationally of how bad it can be, and now seeing New York City, LA, like South Florida, Louisiana, but
metropolises.
Yeah, I mean, these giant, like, and you're seeing it now in front of you on your street, looking out the window. What is that like? What should people understand?
Well, I'll tell you, when it was happening over in China, and I guess moved over to Italy, it was over there.
Yeah,
exactly.
We didn't care.
Never thought it was going to make it here.
We didn't care. It's a Chinese thing. It's in Italy. Okay, whatever. It's not going to come here. We're more advanced than that. Just kind of the ignorance of the whole thing. It's not going to happen to us. It's their problem. We're going to go on with our daily lives and do whatever. It's just politicians speak. It's the news creating a media hype where they normally do, and it turns out to be nothing. We're just going to ignore everything because it's not our problem. Now that it's here, but then when it came over here, it really like punched us in the face. And I kind of equate this situation to almost 9/11. Where all the terrorism was over there.
Yeah.
It was never over here. Everything was in the Middle East. They blow each other up, whatever. It's never going to come here. 9/11 came and knocked us on our ass. And, you were talking about the front lines and everything. Going into the city after 9/11, once it reopened, there was so much trepidation and so much fear going into that, because you didn't know if there was going to be another strike. You didn't know if you were going to be on the subway and somebody was going to blow it up. You didn't know if you were going to walk into your office building and there was going to be a bomb outside. You had no idea, but you had to move on with life. And I think that's where a lot of the essential workers, the MTA guys, the transit guys, the nurses, the doctors, all those people that are considered essential, at least here in New York, feed off that, remembering that and getting past that and being stronger because of it. That's what I think drives them through this. They know that they can make it through.
Yeah.
At least, that's the spirit behind it. They can make it through it. They've made it through horrible times before. We can do it again. which is great. We're glad to have them. We're glad to have them here. We're glad that they have that attitude. Otherwise, it would be a lot worse than it is, as far as the reaction of people.
When you look at the news and you see once again, it was weird seeing in China, you're like, okay, we're preparing for it. We're not going to let that happen here. And then literally, if you didn't know the nationality of the faces that they were showing in New York or in China, you would not know the difference. And it's like, you're seeing these images and it's horrific. But a lot of times, you're hearing a lot with what are they reporting? What really is it like on the ground? So this is that opportunity. You live in Queens. You're a New Yorker through and through. How bad really is it? And moreover, like, maybe you could explain to people just what is it like living in New York right now, living in Queens, and seeing all this unfold in front of you.
Well, in New York, we're used to 24/7 everything.
Yeah.
Right. It's a city that never sleeps, and it has that name for a reason, because 24/7 you can go anywhere you want, get anything you want at all times, all day long. It's now become a ghost town. And when you're used to that kind of lifestyle of, if I want to go out 2:00 in the morning and go to a bar, bars are still open, I'm going to go hang out and grab a beer until 4. If I want to go to supermarkets are 24 hours a day. I'm going to go grab a sandwich, whatever. You can't do that now because everything's closed. Everything is closed. People are inside for the most part. You see pictures of Manhattan. Times Square is empty. It's noon when it on a Monday.
With Vegas too. Everything's empty.
It's noon on a Monday when it's lunch hour. It would be packed with people, office workers, tourists, everything. Hustle and bustle about the city, completely empty. It's a very surreal thing, and it's something that you're not prepared for, and it's not something you're ever going to get used to if you live here. And it puts the emphasis on how dangerous this is, because us New Yorkers, we can survive anything, right? Because we're New Yorkers. For lack of a better term, fuck everybody else. We're the best. This is now, kind of defeating that. Like I said, aside from the essential workers, the frontline people, we're glad we have them. But for the rest of the city being stuck inside, this is almost admitting defeat to the virus. And it's a scary thought for a good portion of the population.
Do you think that's why New Yorkers were so hesitant to like kind of heed the call, like not necessarily stupidity, but that New Yorker attitude of like, fuck that noise, I'm not going to let this thing hit me.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, I think so. It was one, because in general the media blows up everything to ridiculous proportions where it becomes unbelievable. And you kind of you hear it, oh, everybody's going to die. Yeah, okay, whatever. We're just going to go about our lives. And the very nature of the city, connected through the subway system and the transit system, we're all on top of each other. We're all holding the same poles. We're all, touching the doors and everything like that. So that's, that leaves us wide open for rampant, quick spreading viruses like this. So when, the initial thing came out, social distancing and stay inside, like New Yorkers, fuck that. We're going to do whatever we want. And that's what led to not only one, New York being a huge tourist area where people from all walks of life all over the world come here. And they, before there was travel bans and all that, people are pouring into the city, touching the same things we're touching and, taking the same transit system. So we said, fuck that. We're all going to go out. We're all jam-packed on trains and buses, shoulder to shoulder, walking down the street, sneezing and coughing on each other, as you do every day. But that's spreading the disease, and that's why I think that's why we have become the epicenter of this virus in the U.S. is exactly that. We didn't care in the beginning, and the nature of how we live is an easy breeding ground for a virus.
Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't so much, I think, that New Yorkers didn't care. I think New Yorkers, like you said, though, they didn't think it was going to happen to them. Mike and I have talked about this on the show. It's very similar to people that smoke. Everyone knows that smoking causes cancer and can kill you, but the majority of smokers don't think it's going to happen to them, which is why they do it. I think that's what a lot of us have that attitude. And even today, my father, as we speak, has this attitude with this coronavirus. not going to happen to me. I'm like, Dad, stay at home. Like, you don't need to go hang out with your softball buddies. Right. You don't need to go here. They're like, the other day he went to the car dealership because his Bluetooth in his car wasn't working. I said, what? Where the fuck are you going anyway?
Yeah.
Nowhere's open. He goes, well, it wasn't working. I said, that couldn't wait. Like, what?
Well, it was really interesting. Like,
but shit like that, like.
Well, and this is where I think this week and next week is going to be really interesting because a lot of times with psychology, if it's somebody else and it's not immediately in front of you, it doesn't have the same effect. But I mean, my mom and dad were they were a lot better after I pretty much yelled at them really bad. But when one of their best friends, his wife and daughter both have it, they're both in the ICU right now. One of them looks like they're going to be making it. The other one, I think they're turning the corner, but I mean, I'm not gonna lie, it was really
scary shit,
and it scared. I mean, literally, like, because the condition that this person's wife had is the same thing my dad had, and they're same ages. That's when it hit home for them, and I'm curious, like, as these numbers started growing. I mean, I think the numbers, a lot of them are thrown out going. I think at least half of New Yorkers, and at one point in time, they're gonna have this. Has that started changing things a little bit? Are people starting to now, the person down the street, the teacher, the person at the shop, has that started happening? Has that changed anything?
Yeah, it's funny, and I'll just use my thoughts and feelings behind it because I think it's the same for a lot of New Yorkers. I said for the longest time, this is a complete media blown out of proportion. Yeah. It's just like the flu. If you get sick, more people die from the flu. The typical thing. More people die from the flu than are dying from this. It's no big deal. You're just going to get sick and then you'll recover, whatever. But as the numbers grow, and then you start hearing, this person had it. Oh yeah, I know that person. So and this person has it. I just was told yesterday that my friend's sister and her husband have it. They tested positive, and their her sister, my friend's sister's husband is a nurse, so he tested positive for it. I just learned today that a person for the company I work for died from it. Wow. So it's that certainly changed my view of it.
Yeah.
And you're reading all the everything that's going on, the symptoms and all that, and who's at risk. That's really changed things for me. And I think as the numbers grow and it becomes more real for more people, like you said, it becomes more personal because then they know somebody. It changes everything.
Well, I think, also has to be scary as shit is that, and I've been watching a lot of this play out online, and I think not only the 1-2 punch of seeing it come over here, seeing it in front of you, people that it's affecting. It's the numbers. Everything that people would show like online, it's no worse than the flu. And then all of a sudden the trajectory of these numbers started blasting through. Then it was another fake news little thing of like, well, it's only like this. Well, then it's only like this. And because everyone's so used to the media blowing something up to get you to pay attention, it's going to be a category 19 storm. And it's like, it doesn't even come to shore. Right.
Right.
When it was like, I mean, literally the latest one, this was the one that I was just like, people, you got to stop paying attention. Then it was 18,000 people died under Obama over a 2-year period with H1N1. And everyone's making a big case. Look how many millions of people had it. And I kept going, but you're not paying attention to the fatality rate and how much more virulent this is, right? And then, it's still more people because they kept going. Well, not that 18,000 people aren't going to die. And I think they were saying that, I think they said on April 15th is when, if you take all the composites of all the cities that are being like, they go, that many people might die on that day alone. And so now they've updated it to where they go minimum trajectory, just looking at the data, is 100,000 people. White House released numbers saying it could be between 100,000 and 250,000 people. That's where I started noticing a change online of the rhetoric of this is serious, when almost like they wanted to believe that it was not going to happen, and then every number, every theory that tried to downplay it just got blasted out of the water. And it's like, oh wow, this shit is real. And it's sobering to see that online. You don't see the rhetoric anymore, the memes. I mean, you see sometimes, but even then, the people that were the worst with it, they're very even muted now. And I want to ask a follow-up, talking about just the numbers and how it's affecting everyone. What is day-to-day life like, and how's it been changing over the last 4 weeks? What does that look like? What was the average New Yorker's day look like, and what would we be seeing?
Well, as things have progressed, again, more and more people are not leaving the house. You see it out on the streets now. A few weeks ago, you'd still go out. People would be out. Stores would be open. You could go in the stores, no problems, get what you needed and leave. And as this has progressed, you're seeing stores are closed, smaller stores, either by order of the governor and mayor, or just because they themselves are closing to protect their workers and so forth. The stores that are open, you are now limited in how many people can go in. They're maintaining the social distance of 6 feet, and I know the pharmacy up by me, they're taking it very, very seriously. They're only allowing 3 people in their store at a time. Wow. It's a smaller store, but only allowing 3 people in the store at a time. The owner of the store stands outside and opens and closes the door.
I was going to say they have a bouncer out front.
The owner stands outside, opens and closes the door.
Rope,
yeah, you have to knock and have a special password. Much like when you used to buy weed, you knock and
New England clam chowder. Is that the red or the white? Oh shit, forgot that
one. And then they clean the surfaces after every customer. So, and you're seeing that in all the stores now. A select number of people get to go in at a time, buy your shit, and then leave, and then the next group of people can go in. There's a Trader Joe's over here, and somebody filmed from their car. The line was like 3 blocks long, because there's 6 feet in between people, and they're only allowing like maybe 10 people in the supermarket at a time.
So they're okay.
So the lines are two blocks long, and I heard the lines go fairly quickly because nobody's hanging around to mosey down the aisles. They're going and grabbing what they need and leave. But that's the new reality now. You're standing in line. Everybody has masks on, gloves. A lot of people have their hoods up, and it's not that cold here, but a lot of people have their hoods up and got some form of eyewear on. It's like a movie. When you see all the outbreaks and all that, and they do the montages of how it's affecting the people. That's what it's become. You walk down the street, and now you see a person here or a person there, again, all in the mask, wrapped up. They don't get too close to somebody. They, if you're coming, one person going one way, the other person going another, they'll split and maybe cross the street or something. It's the new reality, and it's very scary. I mean, it is just like a movie. I mean, I was before we went into full lockdown, I had to get my wife ready for to work at home. So I had to go to Best Buy, I had to go to Staples and get some equipment and some supplies. And driving down the highway, again, just like a movie. In every movie, there's a saying or a repeating, a motto or something like that. Ours, of course, it's flatten the curve. Going down the highway, the overhead traffic condition signs that update, all of them said stay safe, stay at home, flatten the curve.
Yeah,
every single one of them. And the highways were pretty empty. This is on a weekend where everybody would normally be traveling. I'm flying down the highway going to Long Island, seeing stay safe, stay at home, flatten the curve. And it's like it's like I'm living in the movie Outbreak. It's really, but it's real. I'm in it. I'm there. And then I get to Best Buy. I drive up, and then everything's cordoned off. You can't even get out of your car. They're like, oh, because I ordered online for pickup. I didn't bother going, so I knew what I wanted. They're like, okay, if you just pull up and somebody will come to your car and hand it to you. It's like, really? Like, yeah, stay in the car, don't get out. And then once you're done, drive away. It's like, wow, this is really like some fucking lockdown shit. And that's our reality now. And the bad part about that is because you don't go out anymore, everybody's ordering because you got to get food.
Yeah.
You got to go food shopping. Everybody's ordering through like Fresh Direct and Peapod and all these online food shopping sites, you can't get orders anymore because everything's booked solid for weeks on end.
Wow.
So that's going to be the next thing I see coming, is going to be people panicking, one, because they can't go out, and then they can't get food because all the orders, all of the delivery time slots are taken.
Well, and that's the thing. I think people like we live in the suburbs, and so a lot of us, we have basements, and we can have a deep freeze, and we could buy a bunch of food, and we could easily stock 3 weeks of food. But when you have big cities, you have people living in how many percent? Think about what percentage of people live in apartments where they have an efficiency like freezer, right? They don't even have the room for the deep freeze, which means then people. Like in the city, you don't have these big giant supermarkets everywhere because people aren't buying a week or two worth of food. You don't have the room for it, which means then people are having to go out more often. Are you seeing that there? I mean, I know it's a theory, but do people have to go out more often, or are people finding ways of having stable food?
Well, I mean, that's the Trader Joe's. If you don't know what Trader Joe's is, it's an organic.
Yeah.
So it's a supermarket, but for like organic foods. But that's the line that you got to stand on now. If you have to go out to the store, you got to stand on that long line, and that's the one thing they do here. I guess they're doing it everywhere. Is they have early times for seniors.
Yeah.
So at least those at high risk can go out very early before the masses go outside. They can get things they need from the supermarkets before the masses hoard everything, and come home and stay home and be safe. But that's going to be people are staying home now. But as the food runs out and they can't order online anymore, they're going to go back out because they have to.
Have cracks started forming? Have you seen that yet? Like kind of the cracks forming at the seams, or is everyone kind of keeping their shit right now?
I saw Southern Italy's kind of getting the I think the mayor, the governor of Southern Italy had mentioned that he was worried that things could get rough there. So I don't know.
Well, have you seen the videos of all the mayors, especially the ones in the northern region? Like they're going on TV, like calling everyone fucking idiots, like swearing. You'll see the translations because what the fuck is wrong with you guys? Like literally, I know Cuomo was talking about even like he said like I just want to like go with a loudspeaker and just yell at people.
Saw Cuomo's brothers got.
I know, yeah, Chris Cuomo, yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
So now, be like one of the things that it's kind of like a two-parted question. One of the things, and I'm sure Bill, you can probably attest to this, where when our kids are asking questions about, like my daughter's 6, and so she's, I mean, I wish she was a little dumber, where she didn't realize certain things. She actually asked legit questions. I'm like, shit, I can't lie anymore, right? And so like I try to be honest with her because we did a show the previous week just talking about what we can do, how you can take care of your family, and you have to be honest with kids because they're going to hear or see it somewhere. We have the luxury, at least here, of going. There's a lot of suburbs. We're spread out a lot more. We started early. Mommy and Daddy, we don't have any comorbid conditions. Nana and Pop and Grandma and Grandpa, they're locked down. They ain't going anywhere. And we think that we got it at least in enough time to where we're going to be fine. What is it like for you? You are in that high risk group. You were talking to me off the air about you, like when you look at the top 3, like top 2 of the highest risk rate, that's you. You're in a city where the rates are obscene and growing every day. They see the death counts. I mean, the numbers are horrific. One, how do you manage? What is that like for you being in that high risk group? And 2, what do you talk to your kids about, your family, just in light of all that?
Being in the high risk group, and I'm diabetic and asthmatic. So 2 of the, I guess there's 5 categories or whatever it is of high risk. I'm in 2 of them. Yay me. It kind of freaks you out. Yeah. Because especially once you start hearing people that getting it, it's like, well, if they got it and they're healthy, I'm in a high risk group.
Yeah.
And that's why I don't go outside anymore.
Yeah.
I've been out twice in 2 weeks. Once was, like I said, to go to Best Buy, and the other time was to go to the corner pharmacy because I needed to pick up some vitamin C. And I know they're very clean, so like I didn't touch anything, and even if I did, they're sanitizing everything. So I'm not worried about that. it started going in the back of my mind that when I went to, I also went to Target that day too, when I went to Best Buy and to get stuff for the home office. And I went to Target and I was in Target and people again are walking around with the masks and everything. And I'm holding a shopping cart. I have no gloves or no nothing. And I'm not thinking anything of it until I get in my car. And then like I'm on my way home. I'm like, shit, I should have washed my hands or done something, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And then it eats at you.
Yeah.
Okay. So then it's okay. There's a 2-week incubation period.
That's the worst part about it.
Yeah.
Every
like 15 days.
Allergy
day.
season too. That's the worst too. It's
every fucking day. If I have a cough, if I have and I'm asthmatic, so I'm going to be short of breath eventually anyway, because I'm asthmatic. I take asthma medication.
Yeah.
If I feel a little short of breath, if I cough, if I, feel any type of like, ache or something, like I'm freaking the fuck out. And I'm just waiting for it to hit. But, and I have to calm myself down and think to myself, all right, I'm going to be fine. I didn't, nobody sneezed on me. I touched a shopping cart. It's not the end of the world. It's not.
When I cough or sneeze too, I'm the same way. I'm like, oh man,
Right. And anything I've read, it's not really going to transfer if I'm holding a shopping cart.
Yeah.
Everything I've read, it's more, air to air contact, if somebody, coughing or sneezing in my general area.
If you have like on your hand and then you rub your eye, then maybe.
Right.
Or it's like, but it's like, it's not
but
like bubonic plague. Yeah.
Right. But I have that in the back of my mind and I'm freaking the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I'm trying, of course that's all internal. Outward, I'm like, don't worry about it. It's fine. Nobody knows I'm freaking out. And as far as the family goes, as you know, Mike, we had another family issue right before this.
Gosh, yeah.
So it's one thing on top of the other. And so I'm not trying to add anything to that because especially my older son is still dealing with that issue that we went through.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying anything. I'm not, like I'll talk to my wife a little bit, like, we got to be careful, I'm going to take vitamin C and all of this. And, look at the numbers and all of this, hopefully we're getting past it and, this, that. But for the most part, because of what we just went through, we're not bringing it up because that's just added stress. I have enough. I'm keeping it on myself. Mm-hmm. I'll let everybody, I'll deal with it myself. Let everybody just deal with what just happened. And I'll keep the stress to myself.
And this is like where it's really weird as a clinician because let's be honest, a lot of the things that I deal with, it's almost like, there's a Dave Matthews song called Seek Up and it's like, we seek up every emotion and our cup's overflowing. It's like it's like our brain is looking for something to be afraid of or to have an issue with or drama, right? And so naturally then whenever we have issues, it is really kind of like you're trying to normalize it, kind of go, well, is it that big of an issue? Maybe we should talk about it. This is one of those things to where it's real. And when you're kind of in crisis kind of mode and you got to take care it's like almost like the opposite therapeutic, advice. It is pretty much like you have to find a place where to put it. Not a unhealthy place. Like, if you're drinking, like a fifth a night, all right, that's not healthy, but you do have to find a place to put it and be strong for, each other. Like, it's not to say that you don't check in on each other. It's not to say that you don't air what you're feeling, but there's certain things that it's like, as you said, B, I got to handle this on my own. Like Bill, I'm sure with Jackie, like she'll probably talk to you about a lot of things, but I think you and I both know our wives. There's a lot of there's emotions that they're feeling that they're not sharing, they don't even want to talk about, and I'm not even going to pierce that veil, because I don't want to.
You also don't want to, you don't want to get them more riled up, I guess is the right word to use, than they already are, so to speak, because they're already going through these emotions over their 12-hour shift or whatever. And she does share her feelings and her fears and her thoughts and everything. About what's going on and everything, but I just try to be a good listener, mainly because she has a lot more information than I ever will, including like quote unquote inside information. So I just try to be a good listener, and if I hear something, I try to pass it along. But usually she's the one, for the most part, pretty much informing me, or if there's something I'm telling her, she usually already already kind of knows that. So I'll say something like, "Oh yeah, did you hear this?" Yeah, I already knew that. So I'm like, "Oh, okay." So
yeah, it's just, yeah. I mean, we're having to rewrite like these books, and that's why like I think it's so powerful. Like when we hear what we're all dealing with, it's all different. It's all the same, but it's all different. Now I'm going to switch gears a little bit on this one because I think it is kind of important to me, like whenever I see a lot of things online when people are talking about the response, who's at fault, right? Politicizing it is pointing the finger right now. I remember after when 9/11 happened, when people started trying to play politics and point, it's just like there was like a sense of like, all right, can we wait until the buildings have stopped smoking? Can we wait until all the bodies have been counted? Can we wait until we have an idea, right? And you kind of saw it a little bit in the beginning of people like pointing the finger, right? And people getting caught up. And then that creates this air of, well, I got to defend this guy and I can't admit this. And
man, they blame Bush, they blame Clinton, they blame the CIA, they blame the FBI. I mean, you take your pick.
You're seeing that now. And then it gets to scapegoating or like almost avoiding blame because of political capital. I'm just like, listen, I could give two fucking shits about who's at fault right now, right? Now,
trust me, there's going to be hearings when this is over.
Hearings. There's a time and a place.
Don't rush it. Yeah, don't worry about it. When this is all said and done, whether it's 6 months from now or a year from now, somebody somewhere will hold hearings.
So we have to because
that's what we do. That's what we do. I mean, that's
and you have to because this was such a. I mean, as my dad was, I don't know if you listened to the show last week, B, my dad was a chief resource officer and he was a senior vice president of supply chain for a hospital system. And he was just like, listen, man, like it's a systemic issue. They could have had a year heads up and they still wouldn't have had enough equipment. It's a systemic issue. But the thing I keep pointing online is that we have to be careful about the political game of whose fault it is or isn't or whatever, because for you, you're defending this candidate or not. I'm looking at it as I don't want this shit happen again. And then in order for this not to happen again, we have to have a good idea of what really worked well, what was beyond our control versus where did we misstep. We're seeing a lot on the news about missteps at the mayoral level of New York City, the governor level, the presidential level. And I mean, everyone's pointing the fingers at each other. Now, I want to hear from a New Yorker who is in the shit right now, seeing the response, hearing everyone talk. How do you think the response really has been on that local, state, and federal level? And is there anything jumping out at you that you think is salient to kind of set the record straight or point attention to?
Well, from a very local level, the mayor of New York City has been utterly awful.
Yeah,
this entire time. He has been late to every single decision. When are you going to close schools? He closed school. He made the announcement Sunday night at like 8, 9 o'clock at night. So you're leaving all these parents this was before everything was locked down. They closed the schools first. So leaving all these parents to figure out, all right, what are we going to do with our kids? We had to make arrangements. The mayor didn't know what he wanted to do. The mayor can't make a decision on alternate side parking. Now, if you don't know what alternate side parking is here in New York, you have to move your car off one side of the street for an hour and a half at a time, so street sweepers can come and clean the street.
Right, yeah.
How often did that happen?
It's some places it's actually 4 days a week. In my area, it's 2.
Oh.
So you move from one side, then the next day it's the
that
other.
Often, huh? Okay.
Yeah. So just that, because now everything's in lockdown. We can't go anywhere. We're not going anywhere. We're not going to move our cars. We're not going to go outside the house. But it's a last minute decision. Oh, okay, now we're going to suspend alternate side parking. Something as small as that. The mayor has been behind on every decision, and you talk about politicizing and playing the blame game. That's all he's doing. Mm-hmm. is making this a political issue instead of actually doing anything. He went on the Daily Show like last week to talk about some shit instead of actually doing things for the city.
Well, it seems
he's been utterly awful, and even an article came out a few days ago that even within his own staff, people are tired of him because he thinks it's his way or no way. And his close advisors are tired of this, and they're taking apparently a lot of heat because he gets shit in the media all the time, and his advisors are trying to advise him to do normal human things, but he thinks he's the best. Like they closed the gyms. You can't go to the gym. But what did he do? He went to a gym. And when he was questioned about it, he says, well, I need to be healthy to run the city. Well, fuck everybody else.
Well, like no one else needs to be the hell with them, the other 8 million in New York.
Right. So this was his, and you can look it up. I'm not making this up.
Right.
I need to be healthy to run the city. What a fucking douchebag this guy is. And that's all he's doing. He's blaming Trump and blaming Republicans, not taking any responsibility of himself.
Well, even Cuomo, it seems like they've been opposites. And even Cuomo it seems like he's acknowledging, like, I should have done that wrong, and they've been opposite of each other. It's like,
and that's exactly what I was going to get into. The local side, De Blasio has been fucking awful, and everybody is tired of him. On the state level, Cuomo, as hated as he is, and I can't stand him, he's been really good as far as his response to this. He's been great with his daily updates. And he even said, he came out and said the Trump team is doing well. He's working very well with the Trump team. He said, and I love the quote that he said, at this point, we're not Republicans, we're not Democrats, we're Americans. Yeah. And that's what we need to look at. And that's great. As much as I hate Cuomo, I can't fault him for his response and what he's doing here. There's the whole thing with the ventilator issue. I'll leave that for politics. That we have ventilators here. He knew about them. He hid them. He didn't hide them, whatever. I'm not going to get into that. Right. His response overall has been very good for this city. And people have, across the aisle, on both sides, have acknowledged that he's been very, very good as far in this crisis. The complete opposite of de Blasio. And like you said, he's butt heads with de Blasio. De Blasio initially said, we're going to have a shelter in place in the city, and I'm going to put it in place on such and such a day. Cuomo said, well, no, you're not. Because you need you need the governor's approval, you need state approval to do that, and I'm not approving that. That's not going to happen. Kind of, publicly slapped him down because he got a little ahead of him. His head got too big.
That's happened a couple different places where, like here in Ohio, the similar thing happened where it was like one person was saying one thing and then the governor would come in and be like, yeah, actually, no. And you'd be like, wow, like it's just bizarre to see that so openly, like you said, and so publicly, and you feel like that would happen behind the scenes, but no, one will have a press conference saying one thing, and an hour later, someone else will have a press conference saying no.
And I think
with Trump too, like Trump will say something, and then like one of their medical advisors will come in and say, actually, no, it is a pretty serious situation. You're like, oh shit.
It's been odd.
And I think the situation that we're in, normal circumstances, I agree with you that it would happen behind the scenes. Yeah. But I think now in the situation we're in, it has to be out in public, and we have to say, no, we're actually not going to do that because it causes a panic.
Yeah.
De Blasio saying the dumb shit that he says causes a panic, and Cuomo has to come in and try to calm everybody down. We're not going to do shelter in place. Calm down. We're not going to be, you're not going to be, signed up to a death squad if you leave the house. Calm down, relax. We're going to handle this. And Cuomo has, like I said, has been wonderful through this entire thing for this city and this state.
Well, I think what you're really finding is that, and I really think there's going to be a giant shift in politics and politicians because our generation really hasn't had to deal with long-term major adversity. I mean, we had 9/11, but it's still in a history of things lasting 2, 3, 4 years of hardship. Whenever you elected somebody, you just couldn't be good at one thing. I mean, think about in sports, right? You just can't get a quarterback who's mobile. He has to have an arm. But if he has an arm, he has to make good decisions. And that's always a downfall. And everyone always doing it. I want the 5-tool player. And I think we've been electing people that were great at getting elected. Maybe everything was about the economy. But what we're seeing is now with almost like wartime presidents or wartime leaders, the governors, these people where people didn't like them. Everyone hated Governor DeWine here in Ohio. Just like you're saying, everyone hated Cuomo. But when they became a crisis leader, where it was simply about, I don't give a fuck what the politics are. We got to do what's best for people, and making the right decisions when it matters most. We're seeing a lot of great leaders where people are going, I fucking hated you, but I feel safe. Like, I want to hug you. And before I just wanted to smack you, and I thought you were a hobbit. It's a weird shift. And I love to hear with Cuomo, like, it's not we're democratic. We're not. It's like, no, we're all in this together. And if I have to admit I screwed up, I'm going to admit if I screwed up, and maybe I lose some political points. I don't care, because my only thing is to save lives. Governor DeWine said that. He's like, listen, you're right. What we're going to do is going to annihilate and destroy our economy. And you're right. And I've thought about that, and I can't even tell you what the toll is going to be. But my goal is this time next year, and we're celebrating St. Patrick's Day, most of us are around to celebrate it. And that is, to me, the most important thing. And I think you even see the kickback on all these CEOs or these big people going, well, we got to get everyone back to work, and we might have to sacrifice some people, as they're saying that from their isolated mansions. And people are going, no,
like Amazon.
No,
they fired that guy that organized the walkout because they said it wasn't properly, cleaned and sanitized, and some other issues, and they fired him. Like, geez, Louise, come on, man.
I mean, that's just,
Give the guy a break. He's not, holding out for more money or trying to, arrange something like that. Like, this is for safety, potentially your life.
Oh yeah, there's going to be some colossal changes. I don't even think that we even fully, not even in a bad way, but there's going to be changes and shifts that when someone dies, like, and somebody died. 9/11 was, we all felt with what New Yorkers were going through, but we didn't physically lose those people. Everybody's going to know somebody within a degree or two of separation, probably. And that's the scary thing about this. And that, from a psychological perspective, that is like seared in people's memory. And things are going to change. People are going to value things differently. We're going to demand different candidates. We're going to demand different dialogues. We're going to demand different investments in our future, like this economy. We'll do this here in a couple of weeks, but how good could the economy have been if it got brought to its knees in a week? And it's exposing what is wrong. And it's, there's a lot of changes in it. And this is our first time of having to go through a situation where we don't even know what the right answer is. We don't know how it's going to end, but we know it's not going to be good. It's going to be bad. But we're seeing, even though like the media likes to point out the bad things in it and the awfulness, I'm hearing all these amazing stories. Like here, we're hearing all these companies now, like you heard in World War II, companies, not because they were forced, going, hey, we went from manufacturing, like Bauer, the hockey equipment company, going from making helmets and gloves to and hockey skates to we're making visors and helmets now. Clothing companies making masks and protective equipment, and people helping each other out. Like this weekend, it was just awesome. Like, and I'm sure this is happening everywhere, but there's all these birthdays that kids couldn't celebrate at all over a 2-week period. And so our neighborhood literally organized a parade where they went around.
I saw that.
It was like, dude, it was like 40 cars celebrating all the kids' birthdays that they couldn't celebrate, and let them know that everyone was thinking about them. I love hearing it, because we get so caught up on how bad the human condition is. And as a therapist, I sometimes see the worst of it and I fall for it. But a lot of people are saying, it's scary as this is, we're seeing the best in humanity. And it's weird because usually in the movies, we keep referencing the zombie apocalypse, the plague movie, where every man for himself. But if anything, we're seeing a lot of community. We're seeing people helping each other out. And I think we need to be focusing more on that. Like, and be like, I'm kind of curious, like, and I want to kind of wrap our show up and end on the positive note. What are some of those stories? What are some of those things that you're seeing in the community that almost gives you that hope of, yeah, we're fucking Americans, we're fucking New Yorkers, we got this? Well,
I think the first part I think goes across the country, where it's to support your local restaurants. You feel that it started here in New York, but I guess I don't know where it started, but it was like, all right, small businesses are shut down. Try ordering out and support your local restaurant. Go to, order a pizza from the guy down the block or whatever. So there's a big push here to support the local guys, as far as, they're still delivering, they'll do curbside pickup and all that stuff. Support those guys. With the pharmacy down the street from me, they are going above and beyond, trying to take care of everybody in the community. whenever they get deliveries of things in, sure, they have to limit them. But they're special ordering. They're trying to special order masks and sanitizers and thermometers and all of this. And we have a group, a Facebook group for our area. I live in an area called Glendale, Queens. So it's the Glendale Civic Association group on Facebook. And they post in there all the time. Okay, I'm getting this in. Please reserve yours. We're going to hold them for you. When you can come in, we'll give them to you. So people aren't rushing and hoarding things from them. They want to make sure they look out for the community. And they even posted the other day, we're going to get a shipment of N95 masks in. Our first priority is to all the local healthcare workers. If you're a healthcare worker, obviously you have to show ID and stuff like that. Come in and we'll prioritize you to get those N95 masks. Anything that's left over, we'll start distributing out to everybody else in the community. There's a local, like a fitness drink place, I guess, where it's like healthy drinks and all this. What they started doing is if you donate $7 to them, one, they'll put your name on the window pane of the store. But what that $7 does, it buys a drink, what they call the immunity drink, and it's got like vitamin C and all this echinacea and all this stuff inside the drink. What that does is buy a drink for a healthcare worker. So they'll take the $7 we donate and buy a drink for a healthcare worker, the immunity drink that they call them. So again, you show ID, they get a free drink. And I donated to that. And you see that, a lot of the smaller local stores, there's a few that, go around and they're price gouging and they get reported. But for the most part, people are really prioritizing healthcare workers a lot within the community. It's not like I'm just going to send them off to hospital X in Manhattan somewhere, which is a good thing in and of itself. But they're prioritizing our local healthcare workers that, we're here to help you. Come. We'll give you your stuff. You don't have to pay for it. We'll give it to you. Go, like you said, on the front lines, go back to the front lines and do your thing. We're here to help you. And I see that, a lot of the smaller stores are doing that here locally in my neighborhood.
That's awesome. Bill, what do you kind of see, man? Any kind of cool things you've kind of read or kind of seen? Just, I
got to tell you, well, all of a sudden my neighborhood and probably the entire city for that matter, but I haven't really been everywhere else in the city. But my neighborhood might be the healthiest they've ever been in their lives. I see more people out walking, jogging, riding bikes, you name it, walking the dogs than I've ever seen in my life. I mean, you cannot look out my window during late daylight hours and just wait there for 30 seconds and not see people out and about. Yeah. And I just live in the normal, suburb. It's not like a huge hustle and bustle. It's just, there's your typical standard suburb neighborhood. And it's, it's just bizarre to see that in a way, because all these people should be at work on a Monday or a Tuesday or Wednesday or what have you. And you see them all out and we're those people too. We're out there and walking with our kids, keeping distances. It's almost like if you see people across the street, you kind of give them the wave, like, oh, hey, how you doing? You know what I mean? Like you're all in this together. It's that bonding of community in a weird way that it was always there, but not like it is now. So maybe one of the silver lining is those that do not get sick will come out, actually healthier as a result of it. So that's what I've noticed. And pollution is way down too, is from what I hear.
Everywhere,
no one's on the road.
Amazing,
Pollution's down, traffic's down, obviously, and they're showing a bunch of reruns of classic sports games on TV. So you can't beat that. So
I love that. I guess like for me, and I'll probably kind of more end on this note, is that one of the things that it's been fascinating. With everything that's going on, it's fucked up. It's crazy. I mean, people are home. They can't work. There's money fears, all these things, right? And you'd think in a situation like that, it'd be like, wow, like everyone's how unhappy everyone is, how fucked up everything is, right? But one of the things that I'm seeing, and it was weird because Jill and I had this conversation of like, it's amazing how throughout all this is that life has slowed down. We're not going out. We're home more. We're actually thinking of things that we can do together. Having more conversations. Life is slowing down, and I've seen so many people talk about just almost in a weird way of, I don't want to go back to when everything kicks back up again, because everyone's realizing in the most fucked up time that any of us have lived, we feel more connected, we feel more present, we feel like we're paying attention more. And I think it's
almost addition to subtraction in a way. You don't have all these other, distractions, so to speak, but yeah.
I mean, people are more productive, and I think what we're realizing, and I've said this multiple times in a show when we look at addiction, mental illness, is that we're looking at all these things wrong. Is the way we live really the disease? And the problems that we all talk about that we can't ever seem to solve are merely the symptom of that disease. And I think what we're finding is that because we've been forced to have to change the way we live, mysteriously people are happier in a weird, fucked up way. They're more connected, and people are going, I don't want things to go back to the way that it was. And I think that maybe if there's one gift that comes out of this, is that maybe we're realizing that we really should change the way we're living our lives, and realize that life is going by way too quickly, and mysteriously, when we slow down, we feel like life slows down. It's not just passing us by. And I know some people can say it's fear induced or whatever it is, but it's like, no, we're changing the way we live. And I think the biggest travesty that will happen out of all this, of course, second to the financial and the lives lost, would be we don't take what we're all seeing and realizing that it's time to change. And change happens very slowly, because it's always what about the economic ramifications if we do this? Well, guess what? We're there. And so we're never going to have an opportunity to where it's kind of like when you're working on a car or you're working on something in your house and you have to pull the drywall off, and it's like, well, fuck it. Like, I'm already in here. I might as well take care of it, right? Because it's just going to cost me more later. We're not going to get that again without a bigger loss of life and a bigger issue. So maybe we should be paying attention to this. And in addition to having these conversations of the pointing the finger and the who and what we could have done, going, how do we want our world and our society and our lives to look after this, since we have the ability to shape it in a certain way? We know our economy wasn't quite as good. It was, as I say, our economy was a Jeep Cherokee of economies. Looks great on the showroom floor. You're like, yeah, it goes off-roading, has the mudding tires, has the SVT package, whatever it is. Yeah, but you take it off-road and stress it. You got 10 grand in damage. You need a tow truck home. It really isn't as tough as we let out to be. Let's remake it.
Wait, you mean it's not trail rated? Come on.
I guess.
I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee. Come on now.
Those things are great. I don't know what Devon's talking about.
Have you taken it off-road, though?
I live in the city. There is no off-road here.
Exactly.
Where's
it's great, but it's flat, brother.
Deep in the jungles of Queens. Like, what the hell?
But it's just like, there's something to this, and I hope none of this is lost. And I think these are conversations that we all need to be having of, how do we want our lives to be after this, and what are we going to change, and what have we learned? And in a weird way, it is kind of a gift. So, we got a long way to go with all this. I think we're all seeing it seriously. Can't put the ink back in the pen. It is what it is. We can stay the fuck home. We can hold people accountable. We can try to make some sacrifices. We can try to point attention to the people that can make a difference. We can support our frontline defenders, all that, and we'll make it through all this. I think, New Yorkers are near and dear to me because my whole family is from Philly and New York. Some of the toughest motherfuckers on the planet. Bill's wife, she's from New York. You know what? We're all New Yorkers in some way, shape, or form, and we're all badasses. We're tough, stubborn, but we're gonna fucking make it through this. There might be some less of us, but we are gonna make it through it. We're gonna be better as a result. We always do. This is not gonna be any different. It's just gonna be rough for a while, and it's gonna be uncomfortable, but we got to be there for each other. And that's just how we roll. So on that, I'm going to close things off. I want to give B, I got to let you guys a shout out for the Cave Crew. Where can we find the Cave Crew?
Cave
at home.
At home, that's correct.
At home in 3 different continents.
At home in the U.S., in Canada, and UK. But I don't know. We used to be on had a schedule. We've been off for a few months. We're just coming back. So this week we'll be on Friday at 8 p.m. at cavecrewradio.com. And you can check out the Facebook page, Cave Crew Radio. And let me just say one thing. I believe that Michael Devine is actually the governor of Ohio. Just by changing one letter, Mike, it's like Clark Kent taking off the glasses and suddenly.
Yeah, true story. I did get out of a ticket one time when DeWine was a senator. I did technically get out of a ticket. He was like, DeWine, isn't that a... I'm like, well, he's like my uncle, same family name. So technically speaking, I got out of one ticket due to a similar last name.
How fast were you going?
Oh, God. That was an Del Slow. So I don't even remember. It was probably like 15, 20 miles over. It wasn't anything.
Oh, okay. It was a slow day for you.
Is there a statute of limitations for impersonating a government official?
He's the one that made a mistake. I just went along with it. Oh, yeah. It's family friend.
So you're the victim, actually, is what you're saying. Yeah.
Oh, shit. All right. We're going to get out of here. So I want to thank our guests, Big B, our Queens, our New Yorker, our Cave Crew guy, good friend of the show, man. We're always happy to have you, and we just want you to be safe. Bill, the Armchair QB, you can get him at the Armchair Quarterback, the podcast, only on the 614 Radio Network.
All day.
All day. And I am Michael Devine. I'm America's Counselor, and this is Gray Matters Radio. Hope you guys learned something. I mean, fuck, you guys keep watching, so apparently you guys are learning something and keep tuning in. So, all right, well, keep tuning in on this one. Fucking listen, share it, do whatever you got to do. All right? We are the 614 Radio Network. You can get us at graymattersradio.org. You can get us on Gray Matters Radio, RDIO on Twitter, or you can get us on at Gray Matters Radio on the Facebook. And I'm Michael Devine. Remember, everyone, the next time somebody asks you if you're a Democrat, Republican, you're red, you're blue, do you think it's Trump's fault or whatever, just say, fuck that noise. My ass is great. All right, everyone, you be good to each other. Take care of each other. Be a good neighbor. Be part of the solution, not the problem. You guys be good. I'll see you guys next week. Same bat time, same bat channel. You be good. Peace.